City Council regular meeting to order Tuesday, June 18th at 12 p.m. Would you please join me in the pledge of allegiance to the flag?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you so much. Call it order.
Nelson?
Yeah.
Matt?
Yes.
Rexico?
Yes.
Child?
Yes. Motion to approve the agenda. Second.
Motion made and second to approve the agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. I'd like to welcome everyone in the chamber today at our council meeting. Particularly you people that are watching over television, wherever you may be. The first thing on the agenda is a hearing. Offer to purchase a property. And on June 4th, 2019, the council held a public hearing to consider offers on the south 609.85 east 200.83 of lot 5, the Mars Industrial Park, South Addition, Mars Island. It consists of 2.81 acres. One offer was received and considered from Neil Anthony for $56,200. The council motioned to extend the public hearing on the sale in order to negotiate the offer with Mr. Anthony. The council made a counteroffer to Mr. Anthony, and Mr. Anthony accepted it. The offer is attached, and I think you have a chance to look at it. The property has a first right of refusal clause held by adjoining property owner Ellen and Sharon Pratt. The clause requires the city council first hold a hearing on all offers, accept an offer, then notify Ellen and Sharon Pratt by certified mail. The Pratts then have 30 days to exercise their right to purchase by signing a purchase agreement under the same term conditions and of accepted offer. This time I'm going to open the hearing and ask if there's any written or oral objections or comments. I will ask once again at the hearing open if there's any written or oral objections or comments to this hearing. Hearing none, I'm going to close the offer at this time. Administration recommends the council accept the offer from Neil Anthony and direct staff to notify Alan and Sharon Pratt of the offer. Questions from any council members? If not, I entertain a motion.
Motion to adopt resolution number 1915, authorizing the sale of south 609.85 east 200.83 of lot 5 of Lamar's Industrial Park South Addition to Neil Anthony in the amount of $20,000, with the buyer agreeing to make $20,000 or more improvements to the property within 1 calendar year and contingent on the first right of refusal.
I think your amount was wrong. 56,200.
Oh, you're right, 56,200. Sorry about that.
That's right.
Is there a second?
So moved.
Trying to
Motion
get
made and
inside.
second to adopt resolution number 19-15, authorizing the sale of south 609.85, east 200.83 of lot 5, Lamar's Industrial Park, South Addition, to Neil Anthony in the amount of $56,200, with the buyer agreeing to make $20,000 or more improvements to the property within 1 year, 1 calendar year, and contingent on the first right of refusal. Do we have a roll call on that?
Child?
Yes.
Rexico?
Yes.
Mel?
Yes.
Nelson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Pretty like the council, something they might have.
Okay, moving on to general discussion. At this time, we're going to have our general discussion, and we ask you to state your name and address, and share. The council cannot make any decisions on your concerns or comments, but they're always certainly welcome to listen. And I'm going to ask, first of all, on the general discussion, to ask our fire fire chief.
Wait, are you for general discussion? You wanna take her first, Dick?
Oh, yeah, I didn't see her sitting there. Yeah, please go ahead and step up to the table.
We're not in trouble, are we, Pat?
You might be Clark.
Sure glad you said
I'm carrying it on from years ago. I kept it right here yet, or here. Hi, I'm Pat Benny, and this last week was a great week for all of us, for our town. I know we had a good turnout. I was one of the vendors at the Art in the Park, and there was a good turnout. I don't know if any of you used the restrooms or had family or friends use the restrooms. They were disgusting. The one on the east side had dirt, water, feces, and toilet paper on the floor, and a few other things. And the one on the right side, or west side, was almost as bad. I've been in barns that were cleaner than those restrooms were. And mothers were afraid to put their children on the floor to walk, and I don't blame them. The
Now, was
inside,
that the restrooms or the spot up high? There was.
no, they were the restrooms.
Okay, just I wanted to make sure, okay.
And if you've ever been inside of them, they look like they were made out of scrap wood. I mean, I've got wood in my shed that would be better than what those stalls are made out of. And it looks really good from the outside, but not good from the inside. And there were several older ladies, including me maybe, and were asking if there were assist handles in there. And of course it was a big no assist handles in there at all. And you know, we are a town growing, but some things need nurturing, and some of the projects mean nothing to a lot of people here in town. The town looked great on the outside, but like an apple, rotten with some things on the inside. I'm sure some of you have been to large outside events. Some of these have people monitoring the bathrooms and assuring that there's order and cleanliness. I have to say I was ashamed of our town for that. Especially, it would have been bad enough if it would have just been a regular Art in the Park. But with so many thousands of extra people visiting, maybe some of them for the first time in maybe 30, 40, 50 years, it was absolutely atrocious. I mean, if you could eat anything after you were in there, you had a really strong stomach. And they just need remodeling and maybe even adding on, but those insides need to be gutted out of there. They were disgusting.
Okay, thanks,
And
Pat.
thank you so much for letting me
Bringing our
speak.
attention to it. We'll certainly take it under consideration and follow through on it.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Pat.
Thank you.
Just a little bit, the cleaning of those, cleaning of all of our public restrooms, is contracted out. It's not city staff that does it. We have a contract with a group that cleans.
Okay.
Typically that is just, done during the week.
Okay.
So this would have been an oversight. There would have been nobody that checked it probably Saturday morning.
Right.
And I can attest, they were clean at the start of the weekend.
Yeah, and nobody to check them during the events, so,
We can pass that on to the chamber.
yeah, so we'll have to.
And we'll follow through on it.
Definitely a good.
But I appreciate your comments on it, Pat. Okay, any other questions or anybody else on general discussion? Okay, at this time, I'm going to take part in the general discussion from the standpoint of our fireworks program. And I have had a fair amount of complaints on our fireworks in town since the last council meeting. And so I've arranged and visited with Dave Schipper and our fire chief and Kevin Van Dyck, our police officer, to come up, if you would, and share, remind them again when the fireworks can be shot legally and what we're gonna do about it if they're invaded. So, Dave and Kevin, would you please come forward? I just wanna remind the public, so that there's no question
address the discharging of the fireworks. Discharging of fireworks within the city limits of Lamar's may occur from June 1st until July 8th and July 10 until January 3rd of each year. Fireworks may be discharged on the above dates.
Excuse me, Kevin.
Yes.
Hey, Dave, could you hold up just a minute, so we can hear Kevin?
Yeah, sorry.
Just repeating that a little bit. So discharging is allowed from June 1st until July 8th, and from December 10 until January 3rd of each year. Fireworks may be discharged from 9 a.m. until 10 p.m., except fireworks may be discharged from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. on July 4 and from 9 a.m. until 11 p.m. on the Saturdays and Sundays preceding and following the 4th of July. Fireworks may only be discharged on the above dates from 9 a.m. until 10 p.m. except fireworks. I think I just read that, I'm sorry. Discharging of fireworks may only be done on a person's property, which excludes city streets, city parking lots, city parks. They can only be discharged from your property, and we get some questions about that. Well, where can we discharge fireworks? On your property. If you know somebody in the country that has nice acreage and you want to go out there for a nice scenery, maybe that might be a better place. But if you got a narrow lot in town, you're very limited on what you can do. You simply cannot discharge from city streets. The complaints that we've had come in this year so far, it's only been a handful, are because they're being shot off from city parks. And we simply cannot have that. And we've had some complaints after hours, after the 10 o'clock. So we do discourage anybody after 10 o'clock, regardless of what's going on. So.
Okay.
I mean, that's the rules. I've taken 6 complaints so far. I don't know how many they've taken or you folks have taken up there. And then I did, last Friday, have Christie throw in your box what some other cities have done, what they started with 2 years ago and what they went to this year with their current language. You do have the option under the state law to set different time frames than what the state has chosen. We initially went with the new state law and we accepted that here in Lamar's, and that's what we've adopted. However, as I said, as a council, you have the right to narrow that down or to ban the shooting of fireworks completely. So as you can see, I didn't get every city in Iowa pulled. I just pulled some similar size to us and some of the things that they've done as far as some issues they've had to either narrowing the time frame or banning them completely. I will tell you that since that was done, the state has about 535 less vendors this year than in previous years as far as people selling them, because they're not really setting up fireworks shops in towns where you only have one day to do it compared to 30 days or more to do it. So you do have the right by the state law to set the time frame. We adopted the current language of the state of what they initially proposed with that new law.
How soon can we change it if we elect?
Well, that'd be an attorney question. I think you'd have to do the 3 hearings and then change it.
Well, we certainly have time to change for Christmas, because I think December 10th is ridiculous. I'm not saying shut them off completely. The other thing is we could adjust our ordinance to where they would be allowed to be sold from June, blah, 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 only discharged in a shorter time period too.
The sales we can't touch.
Oh, really?
The sales is the one thing with the
Okay.
law that we can't change the time frame on the sales, just the shooting.
Okay.
We were allowed by administrative ruling to use our zoning ordinances where they can be sold.
Okay.
So we do have that in effect right now. So basically, we have 2 places in town that are allowed to sell them, Baumgars and Walmart, because of our zoning. And we will have one more place coming into the strip mall out by Dollar Tree by Walmart. And that place will be coming in June 26th. And then there is one just outside the city limits on Highway 3 that we can't enforce because that's outside the city limits. So you can't touch the sales dates. You can use your zoning on regulating where they can sell them, but you can do anything you want with the shooting, discharging dates.
Right.
Okay?
As I understand it, I think last year we were faced with the same situation. And I believe, and correct me wrong, Kevin, that if they were out of line, you gave them warnings, am I right?
We gave them warnings. Please understand that when fireworks are shot off, sometimes it's difficult for us to pinpoint where they're coming from. And often when we drive a marked patrol car through a neighborhood that just had fireworks shut off, we can no longer find where they're coming from. So if folks know that somebody's doing it at a specific location, that's helpful for us. If you call us, tell us where they're being shut off at. If there's negligence or recklessness, we will cite. And anything beyond these dates, we will cite. We want people to have a good time, but just be reasonable and be safe.
Okay. Any questions for the?
I'd just like to add, I mean, we'll enforce whatever the council directs us to do. I didn't like this law when it was passed. The Fire Chiefs Associations, which I'm a vice president of, came out against it. A lot of hospitals associations came out against it. Police officer associations, sheriffs and deputies associations came out against this law. I think everybody wants to say it wasn't revenue generated and sales tax generated, but I think it was. And you can argue that one way or the other, I don't care. But there's been a lot more injuries and a lot more problems for us when these kind of laws, and I know Rex Knapp will sit up there and tell you the state does some crazy things, and I agree. When they pass something like this and then they all go home to bed and the rest of us deal with it at 2 in the morning, or some people's, veterans are dealing with it, their animals are upset, losing hair. I've had every story and been told everything by the complaints that we've received. So it's one of those unfunded mandates where it's caused more fire calls, it's caused more ambulance calls, it's caused more police complaints to our local communities, and the people who passed that law went home and went to bed. So,
I think the best thing-
whatever you decide to do, we'll enforce.
I think the best thing is we put it on the agenda for the first week in September, and everybody's fielded all the complaints. We're plenty of time for Christmas adjustment, and we put it on an agenda down the road, is what I think we should do.
And I would like to see, with you guys' permission, that we take this to Public Safety Committee and we discuss possibilities after we get you guys' input, before even September, before we throw it on the council. And I'd like to see a Public Safety Committee recommendation to you folks, as well as what we decide to do based on what we're gathering for information, whether we ban them, or we shorten the dates, or we leave it how it is right now. That would be my recommendation as far as that goes, because then we have a recommendation from a committee that has council people on it, police, fire, and ambulance people on it, of where our town is compared to others and where we should go.
Kevin?
Magically, from about 9 o'clock to midnight is when they all go off.
Magically is a good word.
Which is an hour of legal and 2 hours of illegal. And that's another reason why the complaints are the way they are. But it also makes it almost impossible to enforce a 10 o'clock curfew of fireworks.
I agree.
So we've got, we may have to accept some overlap of time, but we definitely need to shorten the number of days that this occurs.
I put this on the agenda today. I'm the one that did it. And the reason I did, I had several very, very upset people, calls come in, and even going back to why are you waiting until after you get so many calls, and you just do it now, And so I shared with them that we would address it again today, and so that everybody, I have nothing against people having fun and doing it, but do it in a respectable manner.
Correct.
And so that's the reason I asked Dave and Kevin to reiterate the rules, and hopefully we can get through this.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Kevin, what is the penalty?
Well, you would be issued a summons to appear in court, and the judge would set that fine.
Most of those run $250 or more.
I would say 200 to 350 range.
If they were cited.
Yes. And we did cite some last year.
Yeah, and and that's, and people didn't know they could do that. The ones I got,
Right.
because I followed through on them, shared with them, that I think you call the police, they can handle it.
Correct.
Well, when I called in, I had alcohol involved, and that was nasty.
Right.
So I think you have to consider the fact that alcohol has an effect on these people who shoot fireworks too, and it just makes it uglier. So,
Correct.
Well, and the other.
but the police did handle it, and it was
Well,
shut
if
down.
most of them are getting shot off at 9 till midnight, I'm guessing alcohol is playing.
thanks so much, fellas, for bringing us up to date on that. Okay, is there any other individual or person out there that has to talk about the general discussion? We're certainly open to listen. Hearing none, we'll move on. John?
Thumbs up to everyone involved in the organization of Ice Cream Days and Assessment Centennial Celebration. It was great from start to finish.
Thank you. What?
Yes, very tons and tons and tons of compliments on the committees and all the people, the energy they put into it. Very, very good thumbs up to that. That's about it.
Claire? Claire, I mean.
I echo what those other gentlemen said. We had great committee chair people. We had great volunteers at all the events. We had a number of people, I mean a large number of people from other states. I think I got in the neighborhood of 25 states that I found just in my event, shocking. And yeah, we had a few things that didn't go perfect, but for the 99% of it was wonderful for a town of 10,000, and I think the people were dutifully impressed.
Good.
I think they've all said it, what I would like to say, so I won't add to it.
I'd like to just share something that I think, the way I felt towards this whole thing anyway. I remember a few years ago when I first became mayor, I had an entrepreneur individual come up to me and he said, Mayor, he says, you know, if you want to be successful in business, and he says, if you want to be successful in government, he says, you need to operate under what they call the 3P program. And it's called public-private partnership. And I give that thing a lot of thought. I still don't know anything about government, after what he said, but by the same virtue, I thought it made a lot of sense. But after this last week, what I've seen that this town has done, I added about 3 more words to it, and it's called teamwork, accountability, and volunteers.